everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae if you're new, and welcome to a new video. I make content all about wellness centered around my own VSG weight loss journey, fitness and nutrition, and if any of that interests you, then I hope you subscribe. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about recovery right after having your weight loss surgery and how much time you should take off work. So let's get right into it. So how much time you should take off of work? Well, that depends on what you do for work and what you can afford to take off. From my weight loss surgery clinic, they told us if you work a low impact job, like something at a desk or something like that, then you can pretty much go back to work in 2 weeks. But I didn't work at a low impact job. My job was very high impact. I was an ER tech in San Antonio and I worked in an emergency room setting. So it was extremely high paced. I barely got my 30-minute break as a lot of healthcare workers normally don't. I worked 12-hour shifts. I was working 3, 4, 4.5 shifts per week. And I knew just how fast paced it was and what I was allowed to do in my skill set. I would not be able to go back to week in 2 weeks. As an ER tech, I was sitting in triaging people who walked in, getting them set up with their IVs, EKGs, getting the blood work, getting the urine, splints, working the cardiac arrest, going to all of the high acuity calls like strokes and traumas and all that stuff. Like, that was my role. And it was a consistent thing for the full 12 hours. On a normal day, I'm tired. So I can only imagine how I would be after not only having weight loss surgery, but being on a liquid diet and having like 400 to 500 calories. It would have been too much. So when it comes to taking time off of work, not only do you want to think about your work setting, but think about what type of adjustments your work is able to do for you. What type of accommodations can they do? For my job, there was no other accommodations that they can do that they can get approved. So not only does it depend on your role, it depends on how much you can afford to take off and what services were available to you. I was a full-time worker, which means not only did I collect PTO, but I was able to get short-term disability for my surgery. And not only that, my job had a buy-in option where I can pay monthly to get an extra, I believe it was like 20%. So I would get 60% of my base pay when I was out, but I can pay to get an extra 20%, I believe, to, get more money. So that's what I did. I did FMLA, I had my PTO, and I had my short-term disability. That way I can still collect a little check while I was gone. So looking to see what services your job will provide to you that can help offset some of that income, especially if you want to take a little bit more time off. And also, you never know what will happen after your surgery, what complications might pick up, that you might have to be out a bit longer. So research all of that beforehand. This process was actually a very easy process for me. I submitted the paperwork and my checks came. So now let's talk about recovering after weight loss surgery, because this is a major surgery, especially if you have a sleeve. We're talking about cutting out 80% of a major organ in your body. Now, I believe I talked about this in my surgery day video, which I'll go ahead and link in the cards above. After I had my weight loss surgery, it was only a one-night stay for me, and I was released home that Friday afternoon. I swear to you, from that Friday to Monday, all I did was sleep. I stayed on the couch so that I can kind of lay elevated instead of laying flat. And I slept the whole time. Because I was sleeping so much, I had to make sure that I had alarms in my phone to make sure that I was staying on track with my fluids every hour, my steps every hour, my supplements, my pain medicine, my little breathing thing. I mean, I had to make sure that I stayed on top of my things so that I was recovering just fine. There was quite a few items that I bought during this recovery process, which let me know in the comments below if you want to see like my surgery must-haves, because I did buy a lot of stuff off of Amazon that came through clutch for me when it came after surgery. I'll talk about some of it here, but let me know if you want a dedicated video to that. So I shared this in my gas pain / surgery pain video, which I'll also link in the cards above. I pretty much weaned myself off of my pain medicine very early. I had minimal pain. It was some soreness, but it was minimal pain. It was mostly gas pain that I had. So as far as me recovering and needing pain medicine, I probably took it for the first week and then I was pretty much done with it. They gave me this like breathing thing, and I can tell you right now, I'm not the best with doing this. I did do it. I was staying consistent for like, a lot of this was like for the first week. I was staying consistent with it, but that was one of the things that I did not do, which I advise against. Listen to your surgeon's instructions. Like I mentioned earlier, I bought a few things to help assist with my recovery. So like I had a wedge pillow when I did decide to go back into my bed. I had my abdominal waist like clencher that really helped my core. It took the pressure off of my core and my lower back, because the back pain is not talked about enough, because once you lose access into your core and using it for everyday life, which you do a lot of and you don't notice it until after you have surgery on your abdomen, a lot of that weight ends up going into your back, specifically your lower back, and I was feeling it. So that little abdominal waist trimmer that I had definitely helped support that. I also had like this heating pad and I rested there because of the soreness, so that definitely helped. And then of course I had my little under the desk walking pad, which I talked about in my working out video right after weight loss surgery, so I'll also link that in the cards above. But that definitely helped, especially because we lived on the 3rd floor, and though I did some walking outside, most of the time I walked and got my steps in the house. I was making sure to keep up with my steps, to keep my body moving, you know, building that endurance, but also making sure that my legs had some movement. That way I wasn't developing any blood clots. I think because I was staying on top of my recovery, once my 4 weeks was over and I was heading back to work, it did help me with my endurance and my stamina when I hit the ground running at work, because that's exactly what I did. And there were some times where I started getting a little lightheaded, a little dizzy, a little faint feeling. But I think that was just due to the fast pace of what I threw myself back into. I can only imagine how bad it would have been if I did not take my recovery serious after weight loss surgery. So to sum this all up, and the top things that you can do after having weight loss surgery is making sure that you're prepared beforehand. Buy whatever it is that you need to buy to make sure that you're comfortable as soon as you get home. Making sure you take the adequate amount of time off that you need depending on your role. Even if it might seem like you can't afford to take maybe 4 weeks like I did, take the time off that you think that you need for the job that you do. Because like I said, I took 4 weeks off of work and I still came back and almost had a few episodes where, thank God, I already work in the emergency room, so they could have taken care of me there. But it definitely was a few scary moments, especially when you feel like you're gonna pass out. Remember, sleeping on your back, straight on your back, is going to just hurt your core. When it's time to get up, if you don't have someone there to help you up, it is going to hurt. So make sure you're trying to sleep elevated, whether that is on the couch, a recliner if you have one, or even getting the wedge pillow like I did. Make sure you get your steps in. It is the best thing that you can do for your recovery, plus it aids in your weight loss. And lastly, do your research, watch videos like mine or anyone else's, whether that's on YouTube and TikTok, and see what other things that people bought and their reasons why they bought them to help them in their recovery, because it might be like, oh, ding to you, I'm going to get that too. Like for me, I wanted to make sure I had some loose and comfy pajamas, some socks, some comfy slippers, stuff like that. Stuff that was loose and not like restricted. All right, you guys, that is it. That is all for this video. Just wanted to keep it short and talk to you about my time off of work and my recovery tips. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you want me to touch on my weight loss surgery journey, anything that I have discovered, or whatever you may want to know. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon. That way you're notified every single time I post a new video. Make sure you're following me on my TikTok and my Instagram. This is where you're gonna see things that's happening on a daily basis in the moment. Plus, you get to connect with me on a day-to-day basis over there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.